Good morning to everyone. It's really a great pleasure for me to be here. Let me also take on my side the opportunity to thank the steering committee that really worked so hard to organize such a nice event, and of course the Pietro and all the BAA team that has put a lot of effort in the last few months to organize this event. We were actually here back last October, and some of you were wondering, is this just a one-stop or will you be back? Here we are, and that's something we very much care about, and we continue to be here in the future, just as we do with other chapters around the world. Now, my task today is a bit to give you an idea of how the school is doing, how Bocconi is doing, and I thought that it could also be interesting, because I see the alumni community as part of our team, to also try to engage you on what are the challenges that we have ahead, okay? So I'll just spend a few minutes on that. Now, this is, many of you have been away from Milan and Bocconi for quite a long time, so let me just quickly remind you what Bocconi is about. We have 8 departments, 5 different schools, 13 research centers, now almost 14,000 students, so it's a big university, 360 core faculty, and over 1,000 faculty members if we take into account everyone who's working and teaching and doing research at Bocconi. This is just a snapshot of the 5 schools. And the ones that you see listed here are the international programs, i.e. the ones with students from all over the world entirely taught in English. And the blue ones are the ones that we launched in the last couple of years. So as you can see, Bocconi now has a number of international programs which is quite significant. I would say we're now almost 50%, and clearly also a number of international students and faculty. Now, like any other higher education institution, we have some very significant challenges. The market we're facing is, like for any other company, a very competitive one. The main challenge we're facing is clearly competition for talent, and that is both concerning students and, of course, faculty members, researchers, and teachers. A second challenge clearly is competition for funding. And finally, we have a challenge which very much relates to the learning experience. So making the learning experience in Bocconi more and more effective over time. Now, this is a simple slide that shows you the growth over time of the number of students that actually go to a different country in the world from the country they grew up for their university studies, for their higher education. And you can see that that is growing continuously, meaning that there is more and more international mobility over the world. And of course that, if you look at the countries of origin, you see that the great part of that is clearly represented and growingly by Asian students. Now, how are we doing with this respect? On the left side, you see the number of international applications, which has been growing continuously. I don't have the next year data, but there is another growth of about 10%. And on the other side, you have the actual number of international students at Bocconi. As you can see, it hasn't been growing in the same way because we're becoming more and more selective in terms of admissions. But clearly, this is telling me that Bocconi is more and more attractive as a higher education institution in the world of higher education. The same is true for faculty. Of course, this is just showing the ones that are not Italian, which doesn't mean anything about the quality, but it's also showing that the faculty composition in terms of nationality is changing over time, and of course this is increasingly so. Clearly, every department at Bocconi is recruiting their faculty members in the international market, and this also means that we don't have any regard in terms of nationality, gender, religion, or whatever. We only look, of course, at quality and productivity. Funding. This is a simple slide that shows you how we're doing in terms of research funding. As you can imagine, national funding is very much decreasing, And for us, it's becoming more and more relevant European funding. Now, if you look at the area of economics, finance, and management, which is a bit the core area of our institution, you can see that in terms of the research grants from the European Research Council, Bocconi is very well positioned, is actually second in Europe ahead of very prestigious institutions. And we are continuing to increase the efforts in this respect. These are very significant grants in terms of amounts. What about the learning experience? Well, in terms of the learning experience, we're working on three pillars. One is strengthening the international exposure of our students, both in terms of study experiences abroad, maybe some of you have done that in the past while you were at Bocconi, and at the same time in terms of internships abroad. Now, in terms of the study abroad, you can see that the number of partner institutions of ours have been growing over time. Just to give you an idea, in the US, we have student exchange programs with about 50 institutions, including institutions like Princeton, Yale, Columbia, Cornell, and so on. And also the number of double degrees, i.e. more significant programs that involve quite often more than a year abroad, and the 2 degrees have been growing quite significantly over the past few years. A very simple example is the one of the WBB that we launched last year together with USC in Los Angeles and Hong Kong University in Science and Technology, whereby students spend 1 year in each of the 3 institutions. We're also working in learning effectively. So we are redesigning, by doing experiments, we are redesigning the lecture theaters, making them more effective for stronger interaction between faculty and students. We are introducing more and more technology in our teaching processes. And we actually launched last week the first online open course. We have a program of launching a number of them. We signed an agreement with Coursera, which is one of the most important platforms. The first course is online, starting from last week. It's a course on financing and investing in infrastructure, and it already has some 20,000 registrations. So we are working on that with a strategy to become visible and at the same time, learn the technology, because you never know what could happen to the higher education world in 10 years from now. Links with the business world. As you can see, we have quite a significant number of internships with companies. Quite a number of them are outside of Italy, almost 1,200. They're growing over time. By the way, we had a very nice result a couple of months ago we measure employment opportunities 1 year after graduation. We're now above 94%, which, given the situation of the young job market in Europe, is clearly a very good result. It has improved over last year. Clearly, a growing share of them are being employed outside of Italy. Also, I would say, thanks to the efforts that, together with the alumni community, we've been doing all over the world. And I very much would like to take this opportunity to thank you and, at the same time, ask for your continuous help in that respect by, providing opportunities for internship and placement for our students and graduates in the future. We've been organizing job fair events not only on campus. Starting from 2 years ago, we have been doing that in Mumbai, in London, in Shanghai. Next year we'll also have in Paris. These are major events where companies come, meet our students and newly graduates for opportunities of jobs and internships. And that, of course, it's very much also assisted by the alumni. What next? Next year we'll launch a new program at the bachelor level, which is a bit expanding our areas of expertise in the area of, I would say, political science. It's an international program. We are at the same time working with a LSE for a double degree at the master level. There will be a summer school for the first time in 2015. As you all know, next year is the year of the Expo in Milan, and we have a number of initiatives, cultural ones, academic ones, that will be run on campus during the months of the Expo. Of course, we've been working quite significantly in the last few years on our fundraising campaign, but we'll launch officially that campaign next year. And to me, that is especially important to fund social mobility in our country and give students that come from very difficult backgrounds to be able to exploit a powerful social elevator, which is Bocconi, and therefore give them the opportunity to come to Bocconi even if they come from low family incomes. And of course, we'll have the new campus. Construction will start next year. I already showed a short video when I came in October, but there is an updated version. As you know, we'll have the new sporting center, the recreational center, the new buildings for SDA Bocconi, and a new residential tower. Therefore, Bocconi will be growing, and I could say that it will be really, in terms of city campus, one of the nicest ones and even larger ones in Europe. So let me show quickly this short video. This is the existing part, and that will be the new one, across Via Sarfatti. These are the buildings for SDA, and that is the sporting center. There will be Olympic pool, basketball, volleyball, gym, and everything. So it will take another 3-4 years, unfortunately, but we're all looking forward. Let me thank once again the BAA, and especially Alberto, Maria Francesca, and all the steering committee for this marvelous event. Thank you.